JFD, just fair and direct.
Okay, hello and good morning everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius Anucauskas. Today is the 30th of August 2021. So welcome everyone. Welcome to this Monday's morning session where we're going to have a very quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimer. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation. It should not be considered as such and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, I'll give you a few seconds to read the rest and we can continue. Okay, so now then, also just before we jump into the charts, as always, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research page, which we also update on a daily basis. So check us out here on jfdbank.com and click on the research tab right there on the top. So you can see in the chat room here, Evu, yep, good morning to you too. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. So yeah, let's see what the market has installed for us for this week, or at least what could happen. So jumping into Nikkei, as you can see, the index did push a little bit to the upside here. However, it still remained below this little short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 15th of June. So in a way, what I said to you before, that in order to get a little bit more excited with the upside, certainly a push through that barrier, through that downside line would be required. And also maybe just right now, looking at how everything's shaping up, a push through the high of last week, which is around the 27,000, well, let's round it up here, 900, and if we stay above that area as well, then yes, potentially more buyers could join in. So again, for now, everything seems to be quite interesting here in Nikkei, but of course the fact that we're still getting a hold up here by this downside line is concerning a few buyers. However, let's see how that's going to play out. However, for the downside, I would still need to see maybe at least a drop somewhere below this low, the low of the 27th of August, which is roughly around that 27,481 zone. And then if we clear that level, then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to once again aim for this highlighted territory here, this psychological 27,000 zone, and then we'll take it from there, because that level here, as you can see, acted as a fantastic area of support back on the 6th of January and then recently as well here in August. So yeah, keep your eyes on that one, but again, I will consider a possible move towards that area if we get a drop somewhere below this 27,481 zone. Now quickly on Hong Kong's Hang Seng Index. So this one is also still trading below its short-term downside resistance line right here, taken from the high of the 28th of June. Now, of course, if we're looking for some upside, then we need to see a break of that downside line. But again, at the moment, it's not happening. And looking at this picture, at the moment, I would say that even if we break this downside line, I would still actually prefer. In addition to that, I would prefer to wait for a push above somewhere above this 25,982 territory marked by the high of the 25th of August, and because at the same time the index would be placed back above the 21-day EMA, and potentially a few more buyers could enjoy this and join the action, yeah, we'll take it from there. But of course, that's in terms of the upside. For in terms of the downside, because we're again, like I said, we're still trading below this downside line, then yep, in a way the trend is the short-term trend is still to the downside. However, what I would prefer here right now, and let me just adjust a few levels, Let me grab this one. What I would prefer is to see a daily candle closing below this 25,255 territory, and that's the low of the 26th of August right here. And if we stay below that area, then there could be a bit of a greater chance here to see maybe a move towards the 24,750 territory or somewhere around here, marked by the lowest point of July. Or we could travel to the 24,581, which is the current lowest point of August. Now, again, the reason why I'm saying current, because we still have a 1 day left of trading on Hong Kong's Hang Seng, or in 1 day in a bit, because we still have around 50 minutes left of trading for today, and then we'll see how it ends up playing out tomorrow. I can see in the chat room here, Erica. Yep, good morning to you too. Now, coming back to the markets here, the German index DAX, and this one's quite interesting because it seems like, and let me just probably refresh this chart a little bit. It seems like that we are coiling up here a little bit. So basically, the index is getting into a bit of a squeeze here. Now, in that case, of course, let's wait and see where this is going to break out to. Of course, according to all the TA rules, we have the prevailing trend before entering this formation. We had the prevailing trend was to the upside. So in a way, if you want to aim for the for higher levels, yes, of course, we would need to see a break of the upper side of the triangle. And again, as I said, the prevailing trend was to the upside, so there is a kind of a slightly maybe greater chance of this one pushing higher. However, again, we have seen this happening the opposite way, so that's why don't rush into anything first. Let's wait for that confirmation break and then do something about it, because at the moment, like I said, the cash index is currently trading at at around 15,843-42 zone, so that's slightly below Friday's close here, but near the upper side of this little triangle. So in a way, if we get a break through that, then certainly this opens the door towards some higher levels. But then, of course, keep your eyes on the current all-time high near the 16,030 mark, and if that gets cleared, well, I mean, this will just apologies for that. This will confirm a forthcoming higher high here if we break this our current all-time high, and then yes, then well, the sky's the limit for that one. Now, in terms of the downside, of course, a drop below the lower side of the triangle and a push below the low of the 26th of August, near the 15,700 zone. If we get a drop below that, then yes, this could open the door towards lower levels. Now, Nasdaq 100. Now, this one, of course, went on higher on Friday and created a new all-time high and closed above the previous all-time high, which was roughly around that 15,404 territory. If we take a look at the cash index right now, we'll see that it's kind of stalling near the 15,440 territory, so basically above Friday's close. So let's see how this is going to play out. We might, like I said, we might open with a gap to the upside here. The question here is how far will it travel? I mean, because at the moment, I would say if it struggles to travel straight away higher, then well, keep your eyes on this. Keep your eyes on this previous all-time high, like I said, this 15,404 territory. If we drop back below it, then well, I mean, then we could see maybe a drift back down, maybe towards this the low of Thursday of last week, so near the 15,265. Then, of course, we'll take it from there. We'll see how it performs, because Let's say it could even travel back to the 21-day EMA, and if it provides support once again, then yes, another rebound here could be possible. However, again, that's in the excuse me, that's in the scenario if we fall back below this previous all-time high near the 15,404 level. If we continue to trade above it, then well, I mean, it could continue rallying here. Now DXY, the dollar index, and here we have a nice beautiful drop here to the downside after we tried to move back up here on Friday, as you can see. But look at this perfect test of this this 93.19 level right here, and that's marked by the high of the 21st of July. If you remember last week, I also talked about a potential maybe head and shoulders pattern here, but again, it was too early to talk about. Again, let's see how that's going to play out. So basically, for now, what I'm considering here is maybe a bit of a decline here, a further decline, but I will be very careful near this 92.47 zone, which may provide a bit of support, and if it does, then something like this could be possible. We could see maybe a bit of a rebound, but this is where the tricky bit comes in, because well, let's reuse this downside, this upside line, and make it a downside one. So this is where the little issue here it could come in. Certainly we'll keep an eye on this downside line. Of course, don't get me wrong, it's a tentative one, it could still be broken, but nevertheless something to kind of let's say be careful with if we do see a rebound from this 92.47 level, and then we'll take it from there. Again, with the upside, well, probably on this one I would actually, yes, prefer to wait for a break of this downside line, and then maybe a push back above this 92.80 territory, which is near the 200-day, sorry, the 21-day EMA, shown as the yellow line here, and then maybe we could consider maybe a bit of a move higher. So again, it's an interesting one right now, but again at the same time tricky. So let's see how it's going to play out here. As I said, I'm kind of leaning a little bit more towards the downside at the moment, maybe aiming for this 92.47 level. And then maybe we could see a nice little bit of a rebound here back to this downside line, and we'll take it from there. Gold. Gold managed to break the downside line last week, as you can see here on Friday. Pushed higher, broke the 1809 level as well. This morning we had to get a bit of a push higher, but as you can see now, we are sliding back down. I mean, to be honest, that's quite okay, because that's quite a normal. It could be seen as a normal little correction here. So if I would say if it stays somewhere above this 1809 zone, or even let's say even somewhere above the 100 and the 200-day EMAs, which currently, as you can see, coincide together, then yes, we could consider maybe a further move north, where my next target could be around that 1834 level, marked by the highest point of July, and we'll take it from there, guys. WTI oil very quickly on this one, and yeah, so here you can see that it continues to push higher as well. So what I said before, that if it stays somewhere above the 67.78 level, then yes, we could consider maybe a further push north towards the downside resistance line, taken from the high of the 6th of July, because that's where I'm gonna it could stall for a little bit. This is where I'm gonna rethink the strategy again here, because maybe if it breaks this, then yes, this could lead to some higher levels. But if it once again gets a hold up near this downside line, and this downside line continues to hold and continues to provide resistance, then yes, another slide might be possible. But again, at the moment, probably I would say that even for today, if it continues to trade somewhere above this 21-day EMA together with the 67.78 level, then yes, we will aim for this downside line. Now, in terms of the downside, certainly I ideally, I would say I would prefer to wait for a drop somewhere below this level, the 65.11, just to be a little bit more on the safe side. So again, all this area right here, in between that level and the let's say 100-day EMA here, would be a bit of a tricky one for me. Bitcoin Cash. Now, looking at this picture here, you can see that the crypto tried to push higher on Sunday. It did, but today we're seeing a bit of a decline. And what else we're seeing here is something like this. Let me just quickly put this on the chart. So basically, we have ourselves roughly a bit of a downside channel here, but there is probably the bulls should not get too disappointed yet, because let's put it this way, we might see this as a little temporary correction here, because the prevailing trend was, before kind of entering this little pattern, the prevailing trend was to the upside. We started drifting slightly lower within this falling channel, but again, if in a way it could be, like I said, this move lower could still be classed as a little temporary correction before another possible leg of buying. But even so, if that's the case, then still we would need to see a break of the upper side of the falling channel, and then we could get a little bit more comfortable with the upside. So keep that in mind, because at the moment, as long as it stays in this pattern, I mean, it could just continue drifting lower slightly here, moving sideways, of course. So that's why even for the downside, I would prefer to wait for a drop below the lower side of this pattern, and then yes, consider some lower levels. So and the same, like I said, applies for the upside. AUD-CAD. So this one's quite interesting. I looked at this one last week, and yep, we managed to break the downside line here, taken from the high of the 25th of February, and you can see that we pushed higher. We broke the downside line, we stayed above it, and we continue to stay above it, but it did not really move above my level, the one above my barrier, the one that I talked about, the 0.9233, and as you can see, it's still kind of stuck here. It's above this downside line, but below this hurdle. So we need a clear break through that barrier here in order to get a little bit more comfortable with slightly higher levels. USD JPY. Now this one's interesting as well, and let me just adjust a few lines here. Now one thing I want to say that it similarly as with actually with the DAX, this one is also coiling up here, so it's stuck in between these two lines, as you can see, and that's why for now we will take a bit of a careful approach here. We'll continue observing the price action, but let's say for the downside, if we want to consider some lower levels here, then well, first of all, wait for a break of the lower side of this little triangle, and then also just maybe a drop below the 109.42 territory could do the trick for a few more sellers, because at the same time the rate would fall below the 100-day EMA, and potentially maybe a few more sellers could see that as a good opportunity to step in. So keep that in mind, but I'm not going to drag this one way too much to the downside. Initially, I'm going to aim only for the 108.72 level here, marked by the lowest point of August, the current lowest point of August, of course, or I could aim for this 200-day EMA right here. For the upside, well, again, it's also pretty straightforward. A break of this downside line here, which is the upper side of the triangle. Well, not an ideal one, of course, but actually I could draw actually the triangle kind of goes from somewhere around here, guys, so I do apologize for that, but we have this downside line as well in here, which I don't really want to ignore too much, and that's why in this situation for the upside, even if we break the upper side of the triangle here, I would actually take a bit of a more conservative approach in terms of the upside, and wait for a push above the 110.58 level instead, just to be a little bit more on the safe side. GBP USD. So this one's quite interesting. We're very close to this little short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 30th of July, and yeah, so I mean, this is kind of pretty straightforward. We need to see a break of this downside line and a push above the 1.3791 level in order to get a little bit more comfortable with the upside, and then yes, we will take it from there. Now, in a way, like I said, in a way, for the moment, I would say that yes, it seems like it could be a nice opportunity here for the buyers. But again, we have seen this working out several times the opposite way. So wait for that confirmation break first, and then we can do something about it, or we can try to do something about it. But for the downside, for example, I would like to see a drop somewhere below this 1.3680 territory in order to consider the downside. But even then, don't forget that we will have this little obstacle on the way lower, which is this upside support line taken from the low of the 20th of July, and then yeah, of course, we will take it from there, guys. Now, jumping into euro against the Turkish lira, and here I do like to look at these exotic pairs sometimes, and as you can see, we continue to hold near this highlighted territory, the one that I've mentioned previously, this 9.8540 level area, I would say, and yep, we're currently stuck here. In order to, at the moment, of course, everything is leaning a little bit more towards the downside. In a way, we could say that we have ourselves here a nice little descending triangle pattern, which according to all the TA rules tends to break to the downside. However, at the moment, we're not really getting that strong move lower, and that's why we will be cautiously bearish on this one. Also, if you're a little bit more comfortable with another level, then I would probably suggest to keep your eyes on the current lowest point of August near the 9.8293 level, and if a nice good drop below it, yep, may open the door towards lower areas, because this would confirm a forthcoming lower low. And finally, EURUSD. So the pair is trying to climb higher here a little bit, as you can see, but I would say that be careful of this little short-term downside resistance line taken from the high of the 1st of June, although it's a little bit on the tentative side, but nevertheless, let's see if that's going to play out or not. So at the moment, the idea is for something like this, where we could see maybe a bit of a push higher here, but if this downside line, this area near the downside line provides resistance, then another decline could be possible. Of course, for the upside, what we need to see here is a push above, let me just grab this line here, as a push above this little barrier right here, the 1.1857, just to be a little bit more on the safe side. Then of course we'll have a little issue here with the 200-day EMA and the 100-day EMA, which could provide resistance, but if that gets cleared, certainly yes, more buyers could join in here and drive this one a little bit more north. But at the moment, guys, like I said, it could push a little bit further up here, but if it gets a hold up near this downside line, another slide could be possible. So guys, that's it for this session. I really hope you found it useful, and thank you very much for joining in and watching this one till the end. I really appreciate your time, guys. I really do. So I hope you found it useful, and yeah, if you want to catch me tomorrow morning, as always, at my trader's Espresso, that's 6 o'clock GMT time. For now, have a wonderful trading day. Stay safe, have your stop losses in place, and everything will be fine. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.